remember Tom talking about going up in quarries and looking, and there's usually water up there. And I thought, well, there's no water up in this quarry. Looked a little closer, and sure enough, there is. So we're just up here to look. Will and I are doing a hike. We're doing the hike that I've done before several times. And we're right at a place where you gotta hike up a ridge, and it's really steep.
It feels like we're way out there.
What do you mean by way out there?
I know town's only like a mile
Yeah.
away, but it feels like we're out in the middle of nowhere.
So I'm up here at this quarry area, and I Google Earthed it, and I found like a little pond. Well, apparently there's two little ponds up here. One's kind of hidden, and right next to it on a rock, Will found what looked like a little bit dried blood. So there's a pond here, and a pond over there with a bigger pond. Yeah.
Not sure if that's blood. See it?
Yeah. It's blood.
Sticky. Probably the last few minutes, probably.
Well, if it's already sticky, it could have been hours ago, right? Coagulated. So that's interesting. Hang on.
It doesn't smell like blood though.
Well, definitely don't taste it. Did you find any more?
Well, you can see, there's drop here, through here. Do we have, is there any like huckleberries up here or anything?
Oh, probably. You think it might be huckleberry?
Oh. It just has a slight sweet smell to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, it definitely dripped there.
Well, I'd rather think that it was huckleberry than blood. Yeah, it'd be horrible to come up here and find something in the water.
Yeah, business card to do this. It's kind of orange.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any orange berries around here. You know what those are, right?
No.
Rose hips.
Are they edible?
Supposedly. Also medicinal.
Nope.
I'm going to take a closer look in the water since that kind of looked like blood. Make sure there's not something floating around in there or under it.
Now, if you find a body...
Well, see, that's what I was worried about. That would be bad. We're thinking it's probably some kind of berries, but we can't seem to, you know, locate any berries around here that would squish to look like that. So we're looking around.
We probably don't have any trees that have any kind of maple syrup in it kind of thing, do we?
Well, those would be, oh, look at the snake. That's one of those gardener snakes. Yeah, the maple trees they have up here, I looked into it before because I was like, well, we're way up north. We could get our own maple syrup, you know, that stuff's expensive.
Yeah.
But the maple trees over here are a little bit different. And the trees have to be, you know, it's like a different species. And the trees have to be really big around in order for you to harvest syrup from them.
Came across some trees, where was I? Just outside of Deer Park on a trail. And you can just see where the animals have like dug into the trees and all this syrup was
Really?
oozing out of it, yeah.
And it was a red like that?
Yeah, it kind of looked like that.
Well, I wonder if one of those trees in that area was just dripping it.
I don't know. But I mean, like you said, it was a big tree though.
Oh. Back there behind we heard a bang again. It sounds more like somebody slamming a car door.
Now there's been more and more reports coming out of people hearing like a metallic type door slam sound. I know Cliff from Finding Bigfoot has claimed to hear that as well, and I know some people around Bailey Lake have also heard what sounded like a car door shut. I've also heard that out around Lake Ellen just once.
Could be somebody down here with a car door shutting.
Seriously?
Yeah, the noise we heard was from right over there.
I know it's windy, so I'll speak up. So we heard something over there, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say something made a noise over there. Response noise over here. Let's say something said, hey, we're leaving this area. And then this guy over here is like, they're over here now. I don't know.
Could be. Or is it possible we misheard it the first time?
And it just echoed?
Yeah, we caught the echo or something, because I was looking down, but it sounded like it was behind me first time.
Yeah.
And then Will and I both agreed that that spot up there on top of the quarry, if we were a Sasquatch, that's where we would be. So I don't know, what do you think, Will? We gonna hike up there?
Probably not. Yeah, look at that, look at that, look at that. Yeah, it's the same.
So the mystery is solved. It's not blood, it's tree sap.
Smells sweet. Yeah, you can see it was definitely used to bang, but maybe they're just trying to break it in half, I don't know.
Will found a long turd on the road. Could be a cougar. I mean, it did have a lot of hair in it, but then again, wolves probably have hair in theirs too.
So my scientific opinion of that feces we just saw is it proves that something took a dump on the road.
There we go.
Which story do you want?
The bedhead story.
So I want to say about 5 years ago, I decided to do some solo camping. And there was an area where I really like to go, but the place scares me. I don't know if it's just because the forest is so thick and dark, but the place has always given me the creeps. And I've talked to a lot of locals. They all feel the same way when they're out there. They'll go out there and do some fishing on this lake, but when the sun starts going down, they pack it up and leave. And I decided, you know, I'm going to go out there and do some solo camping, be a man, and conquer my fear of the place. Just the year prior, Buddy and I went out there and did some camping, and we had the whole place to ourselves. And we started hearing wood knocks responding to us chopping firewood. So of course we knocked back, and that ended up, you know, turning into a long, long night. We eventually, I guess we attracted something in, and the vocals that we heard that night were just absolutely terrifying. I mean, they were loud and right on top of us. So after that, I just wanted to go back there and do a one-night solo camping trip. So I packed up my rig and I drove out there. I get to the area, I drive around the whole lake, and nobody else is out there. I have the place to myself again. So I pull up on I think it was the north end of the lake, and I get out of the rig, and I'm just kind of like looking around, and I have to relieve myself. And I pulled into this camp spot. I get out, I'm not out of my car for more than 5 minutes. I gotta take a leak, so I come over here, you know, doing my business. All of a sudden I hear this loud wood knock just in front of me in the tree line. I hear a really loud wood knock just instantly right over there, and then something just takes off running through the brush line. I could hear limbs snapping and all that. So I haven't been there for more than 5 minutes, and something just knocked and ran off in front of me. So I'm like, you know, I'm trying to shake it off and zip up and get back to my car so I can grab my recorder or camera, something. And as I turned, I caught a glimpse of something. And then I looked over this way, and if you can see that rock formation, okay, you see that big rock face right over there? Now just to the left of that is another rock. You can kind of see it sticking up out of the tree. All that vegetation wasn't there when I was out here. All I saw was head, and like a head and shoulders and really messed up hair. Best way I can describe the hair is like what someone would look like if they, you know, slept all night and they woke up and their hair is just all over the place. I saw a large head, and I call it bedhead because its hair was just like all messed up, and it drops down instantly behind this rock, and all the birds go flying out of the brush over there, flying out of the trees. That freaked me out. So I run to the car to get my camera, and that's when I started hearing something just moving, and then I could just hear something just hauling butt walking towards me, or walking along the ridge there, and I can hear all the squirrels going off like crazy, and something was obviously heavy, big, and moving towards me quickly. I could hear all the squirrels going off, all, you know, going crazy, and then it started getting closer and closer to me. And I don't know if it was, you know, reading too many of those 411 missing 411 books, but everything changed in a matter of seconds. The weather, the clouds started moving in, the wind started picking up. Everything was just becoming this doom and gloom atmosphere. And I was like, screw this, I'm out of here. I just freaked out and jumped in my car and took out of here. Because I felt like, you know, I was not going to survive whatever was coming towards me. And as I'm getting in the car, I could hear something moving in quicker. And I don't even remember pulling my pistol, but I pulled it out and I'm starting up the car, put it in reverse. And as soon as I put it in drive, I had the pistol right against the window because I was expecting whatever was there to just hit the side of my car at any second. And I sped out of there. And I was doing probably about 60 down this mountain dirt road until, I mean, I got about maybe, I don't know, 5 miles away before I calmed down and actually pulled off to catch my breath. There's something out there. And that happened at Little Twin Lakes. And it's just this tiny little lake just nestled out there. But I saw something that had bedhead, and there was a head and shoulders. That's all I saw. But it happened super fast.
I'm headed up Little Twin Lakes Road and going up to do some camping with Beans Baxter, and we're going to be joined later by Will Ulmer at Little Twin Lakes.
Hey, I'm Larry Beans Baxter. I'm out here with Marshall. We're at Little Twin Lakes Campground. We're going to go on a little hike and do some exploring. We're going to go over to an area where Will Ulmer saw what he calls the bedhead figure. Maybe it's a Bigfoot, maybe it's not, but we're going to go over there, see if we can find the area where he saw it and see if we can find any evidence. All right, so we're trying to find the path of least resistance here to this rock. That's interesting. Looks like there's a hole there, that path.
Yeah.
But there's also one going around this way too. So, you know, I don't really have like an origin story when it comes to Bigfoot. I grew up in a small town in Kentucky. I grew up across the street from the library. I love checking out the books on monsters and ghosts and stuff like that. One of the books, I don't remember which one it was, but one of the books had Patty from the Patterson-Gimlin film either on the cover or inside. And I just remember like thinking like, man, that's cool. It wouldn't it be cool if they're out there, you know, if monsters were real. When I got older, but not quite an adult, where I would drive quite a bit, and I'd listen to a lot of Coast to Coast back then. Growing up in Kentucky before the internet, I couldn't just get on there and look up like recent Bigfoot sightings or, you know, ghost stories or anything like that. I kind of had to rely on the magazines and books and stuff like that I read. So, you know, I got into UFOs for a while. I got into ghosts for a little bit, but Bigfoot I was always interested in. And I joined the military, got sent up to Alaska, and I was pretty busy with my military career. Didn't get out to really look for Bigfoot. I didn't really think about it that much, honestly. And then I got out of the military, moved back to Kentucky for a little while, and then ended up moving to Alaska. And that's kind of when it took off, when I kind of realized, like, hey, people have seen Bigfoot up here. I'm here. Now I can look for Bigfoot. And one of the first times I went out, I found a really nice impression in some foliage of a human footprint, and that kind of got me. That kind of lit my fire, where I was like, hey, I might be onto something here. And you know, I started looking more in that area. I started going to different areas, and you know, I found enough to keep me interested. Every time I kind of my interest in it would start to wane, something would happen, and it would kind of like, oh, okay, here we go. There is something to this. We're here at the rocks, and there's two rocks, as you can see, and I don't know which one
Will was referring to. This one is pretty short. I'm 6 foot. I could easily stand behind that, poke my head up. But the other one looks taller than me. And I don't know if I could get my head over that or not.
Well, in the video, he said the big one that you see,
Yeah.
over to the left of it is another rock that the bedhead Bigfoot popped his head up. So there should be another rock on the other side over there.
Oh, over there?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking it would be. Well, if he said it was to the left of the big one, then it's that one. Or does he mean to the left, his left or our right?
I mean, if you were going to hide, if it was behind this rock, there would be
Well, look.
plenty of...
Look back behind that one.
Yeah.
There's a worn area back there with a path going behind it.
Yeah.
So we made it to the rocks, and we think this one might be the one that Will was talking about, where he saw the bedhead Bigfoot. I mean, as you can see, I'm about 5'11". It's taller than I am. It's possible it may have poked its head out over here where the rock does slope down and it becomes a little shorter. I could certainly pop up from behind that, I think. But we'll have to get a little bit more clarification from Will, but this is a pretty tall rock. So there's the shoreline over there where Will was at. He was looking this way toward the rocks, which are right here. I don't have a real sense of scale. I can see there's a sign over there. It looks pretty small from here to there, so I imagine if he was able to see something over here from over there and get that much feature or a definition of the features to know that it had like messed up hair, I'm assuming that it would have to be pretty big. It's pretty cool that we were able to get out here, get shots of these rocks, get some scale in there. I'm excited to show that footage to Will and see what he thinks, and see maybe if he can give us some insight onto the size of this thing. So the other campground, the one that's closed, the one I wanted to stay in, is just around this little peninsula here. Last time I was here, myself and Amy Boo actually walked out here onto the peninsula, and we heard some vocalizations and found some tracks, and it's definitely a squatchy area with a history of encounters and sightings and activity. It's certainly prime habitat, and it's similar to other areas I've been to with similar activity, where you have the flat main area and then a rise with higher ground where most of the activity is located and situated. So these things, most of them have a stride length of like 4 feet, so they don't really put down as many tracks as somebody with a shorter stride length would, like me. We would obviously, our feet would touch the ground more than theirs would, so we would leave more tracks. So when we're in an area like this that's soft and spongy and you would think would be good for finding tracks, I mean, it's kind of easy to think about why you wouldn't, because they'd be spaced so far apart, you just might not see them. And if they're smart enough to be cognizant of their own tracks, you know, they may have ways of avoiding muddy areas, or maybe they get down on their belly and move through marshy areas. I mean, who knows? We just don't know. I mean, definitely, even though there's not much going on so far, I definitely feel like I'm not wasting my time here. And who knows, maybe with our little walk out here to this area, you know, it might draw their attention. Maybe we'll get some activity in camp tonight. Who knows?
A lot of the fun of it is not necessarily the destination, but the journey. You know, I've met people that are going to be my friends for you know, for the rest of my life through Bigfoot, and you know, that's awesome. You know, it's kind of almost kind of corny. It's one of those things where it's like, you know, the real treasure was the friendships you made along the way, and you know, it sounds corny, but it's kind of true. You know, even if I never find out if Bigfoot's real, man, I made some great friends. I've had some great experiences. I've got to go on awesome adventures that most people will, never even get to dream of. And to me, I think that makes it all worth it, whether he's really out there or not. We're out here checking the shoreline for eye shine and hitting it with my FLIR, and so far no luck.
The idea is to, instead of using like audio call blasting, or wood knocking, try just using visual, bright, shiny lights, and just see if it'll make a Bigfoot curious enough to come into camp.
Our Bigfoot disco hasn't drawn any curious parties yet, but it's still pretty early, so we'll see what happens. It's the next morning, and here we are. It's day 3 for me out in this area. I slept pretty good, and now that I'm well rested and ready to go, our plan is to walk around the lake here and over to the area where we film Bigfoot Encounters the Pacific Northwest, and just see what the area looks like. I haven't seen it in going on like 3 years now.
Yeah, can you tell me about your podcast?
So I'm the host of the Alasquatch podcast. Alasquatch is the podcast about all things cryptid in the great state of Alaska. I cover Bigfoot, lake monsters, UFOs, native legends and tales. I mean, just anything strange in Alaska, and I cover other areas as well. Looks like something ran up here at an angle. I talk about nature and the wilderness in Alaska, all kinds of things. It's not just pigeonholed into one. It's not just a Bigfoot podcast.
What's your opinion about the term Bigfoot experts?
Well, I hear that term a lot too. I hear the term Bigfoot experts thrown around all the time, and I mean, there's no such thing as a Bigfoot expert. If somebody has one of these things, in their garage that they're studying, then that person is going to be a Bigfoot expert. But until that happens, there's no such thing. And I'll be the first to admit, anytime I'm on any podcast or show or anything, I always throw out a disclaimer: hey, I'm not a Bigfoot expert. I don't know anything. I have a lot of theories and a lot of speculation, but I don't know anything for a fact. It's one of my pet peeves when people will throw out a theory or an idea that they have as fact. It's like, well, Bigfoot can see infrared. It's like, well, I can understand why you would have that theory, because they seem to avoid trail cameras, and there hasn't been a good image of one color on a trail camera. But at the same time, we don't know that. Until we get a hold of one and we can tell, do experiments and figure out whether they can see an infrared or not, I don't think we could go around and throw those kind of facts out. So I don't think there's any such thing as a Bigfoot expert. I think there are a lot of experienced Bigfooters out there, experienced Bigfoot researchers. So this is where it happened, Marshall. This is where I got scared for the first time in the woods. All right, so this is it. This is the spot where I first got scared while I was out Bigfooting. I'd been out in the woods quite a bit before then. I'd always been, concerned for my safety, concerned with wildlife and stuff like that. But this was the first time I ever really got scared. And what had happened was we were walking up along a little logging road a couple miles up the road. And I turned my back to the tree line, and I was using my FLIR to FLIR the far side of the other tree line across the road. And I heard something behind me. It sounded really close. It sounded like an indistinct whisper, like just a few syllables like that. And as soon as I heard it, it just fear. Like I was just consumed with fear. I turned around. I FLIR'd. I looked. I didn't see anything. And I turned around and I caught up with the group as fast as I could. And from that moment on, for the rest of the trip, which that was the last night, I was just scared to death. There's a ridge here off to my right, And while we were here, that's where most of the activity was coming from. Screams, knocks. We found some tracks up there. And once we got back from that little logging road, we were sitting here around the fire, and I just had this overwhelming sense of dread. Like Sasquatches were going to come over that hill like the Zulu Nation and get us, you know, like it was just, they were just going to overwhelm us. And Will Ulmer from Bigfoot of Stevens County was here with us, and I think he could tell that I was uneasy, or he could feel it too. You know, everybody with us, other than me and Will, they got in their tents and went to sleep. And Will and I, we sat around the campfire right here, basically with our guns, you know, ready. Will had his shotgun and I had my pistol. And we sat here all night. I had to drive everybody, I had the car, the rental car, and I had to drive everybody back to Spokane the next day. And I was like, I'm staying up all night if I have to. Well, around 3 a.m., we're sitting here around the fire, and we just hear this big boom. It wasn't a gunshot, and it wasn't a tree knock. It was some loud booming combination. And as soon as that happened, Will looks over at me. He goes, "Is it just me, or did the atmosphere change?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm not scared anymore." It was just like somebody pulled a sheet off of me, and I, you know, like I wasn't scared anymore. It just went away. And that's probably the most inexplicable thing that's ever happened to me. I cannot explain it. I don't know if it was just my body's natural physical reaction to something that frightened me, or if there was more to it. It's really weird. But yeah, I ever since then I've wanted to come back here, kind of face my fears, and just, you know, look around this place again and hang out here and camp here. Well, it's like they say, if you don't find Bigfoot, at least you have a good time hiking and camping.
It looks like a nest right there. You want to come down here, Beans? I found something. I'm waiting for Beans to try to navigate his way down here, because I just found this, looks like a crevice under a rock, and by the dirt that's under what looks like a nest.
Marshall found this pile of sticks under this big rock outcropping. Kind of interesting.
What the heck would do that?
I think I got a bone.
You think you see a bone?
Yeah. So this is a 6-inch scale. Could be beaver, maybe. I don't know. There is a beaver dam like just down the hill from us here. Well, there's nothing hot in there. It's all pretty cold. I just scanned it with my thermal. It doesn't look like it goes back too far, but it goes back far enough in there. I could crawl in there I could scoot myself back in there and be completely obscured. So Marshall found this stick structure here underneath this outcropping. He called it a nest. I think it's more of a hide. It almost looks like something you could crawl in there and hide. Upon reflection, now that we're up here above the little hidey hole we found, I was thinking about it, and it really reminds me, I mean, it's almost a textbook for a survival shelter. It's a pretty commonly taught survival tactic where you get in a rock outcropping or in inside an overhang, and instead of the sticks like we saw built up to create a barrier, instead of that you would have a little fire, and the heat would fill up the little outcropping, the little hole, and radiate off the stone behind you, and it would keep you warm. And upon reflection, thinking about what I just saw down there, it's exactly what it reminds me of. I mean, it's almost a textbook survival cave. And I mean, I don't know, maybe somebody's going to take a look at it and be like, oh, that's a whatever nest, or that's a that's the lair of this animal or that animal or whatever. And maybe they're right. I'm not Grizzly Adams. I don't know everything about the woods or the forest. But in my training experience, I haven't seen anything like that, and it just makes me wonder what made it. So I used my GPS and marked this location on my map so that we can find it easier. Like if we want to bring Will over here and show him, it'll be a little bit easier for us to find, and we'll know exactly where to come, and we won't have to scout around for it as much.
It's been a long, frustrating week. I just want to get out of here.
How you doing, man? Good to see you, buddy. You too.
Any action? No.
Well, we've got some interesting stuff to tell you about.
Okay.
So yesterday we took a little hike. We went back to the campsite, and Marshall wanted to hike out to this little point over here where the rocks are. So we're over there. Marshall goes down below the rocks, and he starts, Beans, come down here, come look what I found. So this is a rock. It's an outcropping, an overhang, and this is all pushed up in front of it to create a barrier, and then there's a hole you can crawl in. I don't know that it has anything to do with Bigfoot. It's just really weird. I'll show you exactly where it is from the shore here.
But absolutely beautiful. Turns on just like the flare. New thermal, ATN. Well, it's right here. There you go. That's the general area where when I was kayaking here, I saw the eye shine, like real frantic.
Yeah,
eye shine is right in that area.
yeah. So there's two sides to bigfooting, right? And you can kind of like compare it to wrestling. You've got your jujitsu, your Gracie style jujitsu, martial art. It's an art. There's a science behind it. It's serious. There's a lot of thought, a lot of technique, a lot of it's just taken very seriously. It's an art. And then you've got your WWF entertainment squatching, which is what you mostly see on TV, and that is, it's strictly for entertainment. It's there for the audience. They're hitting people with chairs. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I think that's a good analogy for the state of bigfooting today. What do you think, Will?
I agree.
All right, so Marshall and I are getting ready to hike over to the rock where Will saw the bed head, and we're going to do a little reenactment. We've got some radios. We're going to talk back and forth so he can position us to be where he saw this thing. It's going to give him a sense of scale and give us an idea of maybe what it was he saw. He's never done this before, so it's going to be pretty cool because it's finally going to give him an idea of how big this thing was. And we're going to film the entire process. It's going to be pretty cool. And I believe this might be my first recreation that I've done of an experience like this.
Not sure if you can see it, but rock outcropping right out there is where I had my sighting of something. Gonna have to go behind the rock.
This one right here that I'm standing in front of?
More to the left.
Did you say left or yeah?
The big part.
The one to my left here? The one that I'm pointing at?
Yes, sir.
So you want me to go behind this rock here, and that's to the left of the pool?
That is correct.
When you saw it, did it duck down or did it slowly lower down?
It ducked down really quick.
Roger that.
The
Problem is that
tree that's in front of the rock wasn't there before.
Okay, we're gonna do our best. It looks like I can stand back here and still be, I don't have to stand on my tippy toes or anything. It looks like
stand and have my shoulders and head above the rock.
Can you see me?
Just barely.
Yeah, you look really small compared to what I saw.
You can edit that part out. Camouflage.
Confirm this is the correct rock, correct spacing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I am standing on the ground. I'm not on my tippy toes. The rock comes up to about my armpit.
Well, what I saw originally was a head and shoulders.
10-4, so that would probably make it about my height or... Well, see, I can't even make out your hat from here, and I saw hair.
Well, that would make it bigger than me. I'm gonna step back a little bit. I'm gonna put my camera down. I'm gonna duck down. So if you want to record me ducking down, if you want to try and zoom in and get a shot of that. All right. So I'm the bed head. I see Will looking at me. Duck down.
All right, I'm gonna do that a couple more times. We're gonna get a couple of different angles of it.
Copy. Yeah, this is crazy. They look so small compared to what I saw.
10-4. I'm not a little guy, so whatever it was bigger than me.
So where Marshall is standing is probably about the right height for this thing.
Beans has done a recreation dramatization showing the height that he is, and that was what, 5'11"?
Yeah, I'm 5'11".
Yeah, and Will is saying that whatever it was quite a bit bigger and quite a bit taller, because he could barely see Beans' head and hat when he stood up over it. And now I'm standing on a rock approximately 3.5, 4 feet above the ground, and And that puts me at about 8 feet tall, and Will's saying that is about the correct height from that distance, what he's looking at. So, pretty interesting stuff.
This is crazy. Whatever he saw was much bigger than I am. You know, I'm 5'11", like 260 pounds. I mean, I'm not a little guy. So, what was it?
So what's your conclusion?
Well, I think this was a good exercise. I'm glad we did it. It was a good tool to put in our investigative tool belt, and it really gave us a sense of scale. Whatever it was had to be bigger than me. There's a pretty flattened down area back here behind the rock. There's a lot of trails honeycomb back through here. It was probably either crouched down or on its knees when it raised up over the rock. So weird stuff.
Okay, so from where I was standing and seeing you guys over there, when I had my sighting, I thought the thing kind of looked a little skinny. But with you guys standing over there, that sucker was not skinny. It was, you guys looked tiny compared to what I saw. I mean, it was much wider than you guys. And where Marshall was standing on top of the rock, that would have been about the height of where I saw just the shoulders and the head.
That was like 8 feet. That's creepy.
It is.
I'm glad we did that, but now I'm a little creeped out.
Yeah, I still got chills. I didn't realize it was that big. Because I swear the head had to be like your torso. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. I mean, I thought it was skinny looking, but obviously it wasn't.
I'm a big guy. I mean, I wear like 2 extra large, you know. I'm
Now,
not.
when you waved your hat,
Yeah.
I mean, I think probably where your hat was probably where the head was, because I saw shoulders and a head.
Well, that's about 8 feet, because I'm about 6 foot, and that's another 2 feet, so that would have been 8 feet.
I've heard stories, whisperings, that a Bigfoot researcher come here to face his fears. And you know what happened? He got ran off, and he ran like a little girl. But you know who didn't run? You know who wasn't scared? Macho Man Beans, that's who. I'm gonna grab a Sasquatch and I'm gonna throw him on the ground and he's gonna taste some Washington real estate, let me tell you. Cause I don't cuddle when I'm scared. I rise to the cream of the crop. Yeah.
Okay, go.
This guy didn't have something 8 foot staring at him though. That's why I ran.
All right, well, so we're gonna hike over here to the other side of the lake, and we're gonna show you this area that we found, this nest or hide. Marshall walked down, and I found out I was sitting on the anthill, so I got up and started moving this way, and I think I was up here, and Marshall was down below me, and he said, "You got to get down here."
Of course, I'm not wearing gloves or anything. So, yeah. It's packed in here pretty good. Some mushrooms. see where something's been gnawing on it. I mean, it gives off the vibe of like a bird or rodent nest, but it's huge. Hey, Marshall.
Yeah.
See the eyes?
See the eyes?
Right there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pack rat.
Here,
It is.
it's a rodent I saw in there. I saw, well, first of all, I heard like a little animal call, like a squeak. And looking in there, saw 2 eyeballs. You know, tail. Looks like a pack rat. Has a nest back in there. So what do we come out of the woods with? A little bit older and a little bit wiser. You know, we learned that it's probably a rodent nest. Will actually saw a pack rat or something in there. But I mean, it goes to show you not everything is Bigfoot. Even though Marshall and I had never seen anything like that before, Will had never seen anything like that before, you know, turns out there's a rational explanation for it. And that's why I like, you know, grounded research. We could have easily took the film and the videos we had of that site and, you know, called it a Bigfoot hide or blind or whatever. But we went back, we took the time to really look into it, and, you know, mystery solved. We found out it's a rodent nest. So, you know, I don't look at it as a loss. I look at it as a win because we learned something, and that's what it's all about.
Wax on, wax off.
As far as Bigfoot conspiracy or conspiracy in general, do you think there's like a government cover-up about Bigfoot? Do you think they're trying to keep people from finding out?
So, based on my experiences, I'm going to say no. I've worked for the government pretty much my entire adult life in some capacity or another. You know, I retired as a law enforcement officer. I was actually pretty high up in the chain of command in that law enforcement agency, and never once did anybody ever set me down or anybody ever say, hey, if somebody comes in and reports a Bigfoot sighting, this is what you tell them. You know, you tell them it was a bear, you tell them this or you tell them that. So I can't speak from my experience that I believe that there's any kind of conspiracy or cover up as far as that goes. I don't really see any benefit in it for the government to conceal the existence of Sasquatch. A lot of people talk about like, well, they want to conceal the existence of Sasquatch because if it was proven, then, you know, all these people that went missing or were abducted by Sasquatch would, you know, sue the government and all that. And I don't, first off, you would have to prove those people were abducted by Sasquatch, which I don't really know how you could do that. And secondly, I mean, there are plenty of other hazards out in the woods. I mean, people get mauled by bears, they get attacked by mountain lions and wolves, and, you know, I don't know how that's the government's fault, and I don't know how Sasquatch would be either. Yeah, I don't see any rational explanation for why the government would want to conceal the existence of Sasquatch. Now, if you're asking me, will the existence of Bigfoot be proven in my lifetime? The answer to that is absolutely not. I just don't think so. You know, there's not that many people that are really out there looking for Bigfoot today. There's just not that many people. There's a lot of people that are interested in the subject. There's a lot of enthusiasts. There's a lot of people that like to read the books, listen to the podcasts, watch the documentaries. There's not really a lot of people that like to get out and really look for Bigfoot. And, you know, the proof of that, just, you know, pick 3 or 4 random Bigfoot podcasts that have guests, start listening to them. Same people will come on over and over and over. You know, it's just a revolving door of the same people. There's just not that many dedicated researchers out there. And I mean, think about the Four Horsemen. You know, those guys look for Bigfoot for a long time, and some of those guys were a lot smarter than I'll ever be, and they never were able to come any closer to proving that Bigfoot exists than we have. So, like I said, I'm into Bigfoot for myself. I want to know personally if it exists. I would like to have that visual sighting, and I don't know what's going to happen after that happens. Maybe I'll, say, okay, I was right, and give it up, or maybe it'll make me push harder to try and prove it to everybody. I don't know. But, yeah, I'm thinking maybe, hopefully, I might have a sighting if I continue doing what I'm doing. But to be able to prove it to the world, I don't think there's a very good chance of that at all.